Today we're going to be troubleshooting an SMPS board, which is a switch mode power supply board. This board powers your fan motor, your main board, your thermistors, your stepper motor, and your display. Some of the codes you may get to know to start troubleshooting here is a fan motor error, no display, no power to the unit, unit's not turning on, and communication error. To start out, make sure you have the unit powered off for 15 minutes to discharge the board. And we're going to go ahead and unplug the plugs on this board and remove it. And I'm going to show you where the built-in fuse is. This fuse is a non-replaceable fuse. So if it is out, then you would have to replace the SMPS board. All right, and there's a little tab right here that holds the board in place. You're just going to pull that tab outwards and pick the board up like that. So this is what the SMPS board looks like. If you look right here at this black rectangular part, this is the built-in fuse. To check that, you would have to flip over the board, and it's labeled FP01, and we're going to measure across these solder points here to see if the fuse is opened or closed. Today I'm working on with a filled piece meter. You just basically need a meter that will do ohms. We're looking for open and closed here. So you got to kind of position yourself to be able to hold the board and your leads at the same time to measure across those pins. And it shows closed here if you look on the meter. So with that being closed, we know that the fuse is good, so we're going to put the board back in place, and then we're going to do a couple more tests here. One thing I do want to show you, if you look closely at this board, there's a box that says DC link number 1, 2 is NC, which is not used, 3 is NC, which it's not used, and number 4 is 17 to 25 volts, and number 5 is ground. Those are the pins here in this plug. So here's 1, there's 2 blank spaces, 4 and 5. And on the white plug is the same thing. Pin number 1 is here, it's 12 volts. The middle one, number 2, is ground. And number 3, it's covered up with a blue dot, but that says 5 volts DC, and that's pin number 3. We're actually going to be measuring DC volts coming out of this board. So let me get everything back in place. Okay, we got the board in place. To test voltages, you would leave the red plug out and the white 3-pin plug. You're going to leave your white plug with the blue and brown wire. That's your main power coming in. So we do want power to go through this board, but we're going to be measuring DC volts coming out to verify it's the correct voltage. I'll explain exactly what the readings are as I go, but let's go ahead and get the power turned back on. You didn't hear the unit chime when I plugged it back in because we do have the plugs that power the main board unplugged. You're going to want to go ahead and test AC volts to verify that you have power feeding the unit. And we are working live here. So now you're going to switch your meter to DC volts. And we're going to start measuring the voltage on this plug. All right, so we're going to go ahead and measure voltage. Make sure, guys, that you're wearing the proper safety gear for measuring line voltage and working with live equipment. As we're measuring here, we're going to refer back to the box. We're going to go from pin number 1 to pin number 5, which is going to be our DC link voltage. If you want to know the proper voltage reading you should get there, you're going to multiply whatever you're getting for line voltage times 1.43. So your measurement should be pretty close to that voltage. So let's measure now. If you look down at my meter, we have 307.7. That is a good DC link voltage. All right, and we're going to come back up to the SMPS board. And now refer back to the square again. And we're going from pin number 4 to pin number 5. And if you read closely here, it says 17 to 28 volts DC. So we're going to make that measurement. And if you look back down at the meter, it reads 23.54, which is well within range. So that also is a good reading. Next, we're going to move down to the white plug here. And if you refer to the box beside it, it's pin number 1 to pin number 2 should be 12 volts DC. So we're going to measure that now. And if you look down at the meter, 12.01, so that is correct. Okay, so we're going to measure pin number 2 to pin number 3. We're looking for 5 volts DC. If you look down at the meter, we got 5.157 volts DC, which that also is correct. Okay, so now that that is correct, we know we have a good SMPS board. In the cases that it's not correct, you would have either wrong voltages or no voltages at all. Now that we know that we had the correct voltages here, we know that the SMPS board is good. So that would lead us to believe that the problem would be somewhere else. So in another video, we will go through troubleshooting the main board. For service manuals and other documentation, please visit our website at samsunghvac.com or use our Samsung HVAC mobile app to download any technical documentation. Thank you.